Hi, welcome to this edition of Catch Up with Akin Akinpelu. I'm so sure that you had a super beautiful week and it's going to be a greater week for you this time around. I want to continue from where we stopped at the last edition when we talked about scandal of grace, and we talked about that God is the God of the least likely, and God will go for the unqualified just to bring them into limelight, just because he doesn't want a strong man or a skillful man to take the reward of his own intelligence. So we talked about Tamar, who was a victim of life circumstances. So today I want to talk about an interesting woman who is called Rahab in the Bible. Yes, Rahab. Rahab was such a fantastic and a phenomenal woman, no matter what you think about her. So number one, what strikes me about her name is that Rahab means insolence and it means fierceness. And I have a problem with that. Why will a mother give birth to a child and you just have to call up the future of the child in the name and you call her insolent or you call her just fierce? So that means that even from the time she was given birth to, there was a kind of expectations they had about her life. They never expected her life to go well. So here is a young lady growing up, and she decided to be hardworking. She had a motel that she founded by herself, and everybody started coming there and they were having a good time with her just because she didn't want to stay without doing anything. So she had a motel where people come to drink and do prostitution. She was also a court prostitute, and she was doing all of that. But one interesting thing I noticed was that where are the parents of Rahab? Number two, the scriptures helps us to understand that she was doing this for the purpose of her family, because when the spies came, she had to beg and say, hope you will not destroy me, my family, and everyone connected to me. So it means that she had love for the family, and number two, she was fetid for them. It was not fully her doing. She found herself doing that. But you cannot take the fact that she was hardworking. But one thing I also noticed about this lady is that while she was living in the streets where nobody could trace her history, what if she was raped? What if, there was no parental guidance, there was nobody helping her? How are we going to be surprised at the outcome of her life? So people look at you today and people can't tell exactly the things you went through to get to where you are. So anybody can look at you today and say to you that, why are you just so insolent? Why are you just so wayward? Why are you a prostitute? Why are you this? Why are you that? And people who don't know your history cannot even explain to you exactly why you are going through the things that you are going through. That was the story of Rahab. She was a victim of moral weakness. I know that every time she's alone, she's always morally weak. I'm not sure she's happy to do the things that she was doing. Then when the spies came, she was the one that lodged them on top of the flags of the motel where they had a wet blanket just to make sure they are fine. And guess what? She lodged them. Moses sent those spies out, but he never gave them a place to stay, not even money to go out with. She was so important to God's agenda. Lodged the spies in the Bible, and they later got the mountain. And number two, you will find out that she was somebody who loved her family. She told the spies that I know that God has given you this land. When you come back, make sure you don't destroy me. And they said yes. And they said, don't make sure you don't destroy my family too. That is really incredible for me, because how did she know that God had given them the land? If the spies knew, or if Moses knew that God had given them the land, they wouldn't have come to spy. So even a prostitute had a greater revelation than Moses and his spies, just to tell you how powerful that woman is. That's what my generation will say mad though, but I won't say mad, I will say God though. So that was powerful. That was good. She loved God and she had a great knowledge of God. So let nobody just try to cut anybody down. Everybody is a work in progress and we are going somewhere. So never judge anybody's destiny by what they are going through. Where they are is not what they are. They are on a journey going somewhere. And that's what happened to Rahab. How did the life of Rahab head? Rahab had to, at the end of the day, Rahab married a gentleman in the Bible called Salmon. Salmon gave birth to the guy called Boaz. Boaz was the man who became the kinsman redeemer of Ruth in the Bible, which means that Ruth would have been unmarried if Salmon And Rahab never gave birth to the guy called Boaz. So she was so important in the journey of destiny. And guess what? Deborah was not engrafted into the lineage of Jesus. God said that anytime my lineage is mentioned, Rahab is so important to it. And God engrafted her into it. This is the mercy of God and the grace of God. Her life was supposed to end on the street, but grace said no. Mercy said no. That's called the scandal of grace. God picks the unlikely. God picks the unqualified. He fixes their lives and He brings them on the limelight. I so believe that God is working on your life and God is doing something extreme, even beyond your imagination. I'm super excited about what your life is going to turn out to. I'll see you next time. God bless you. Stay encouraged.